Hi, I'm Jess Brenton, and this is my case analysis for the accounting software installation project. This project case study involves the installation of an accounting software system into a large corporate organisation. Managed by project manager Karen Chung, the joint project team consists of a task force from each division of the organisation, as well as contractors from 6 external companies. The project team follows a partnered outsourcing approach, where outsourcing means that significant portions of the project work are contracted to external companies, and partnering relates to the relationship between the partners, the contractors, and the project organisation. In partnering, they have shared goals and objectives. There's a high level of interaction between the partners, a joint share of the risk, and also a long-term commitment to each other. Now, in order for outsourcing to work effectively, there are a number of best practices an organisation can use. The first is having well-defined procedures and requirements. So you establish a common terminology and procedures between the partners so you avoid confusion and potential conflict in the future. Training and team building exercises to encourage people to work effectively and forge healthy relationships. Using well-defined conflict management processes so that when a conflict or an issue does arise, people have a rules of engagement to follow and conflicts can be promptly resolved. Having regular review and status updates to track project and partnering progress, and also co-location, so having everyone together in the same space if possible so that communication is really easy. There are also a couple of others, long-term outsourcing relationships, etc. Now, these outsourcing best practices, some of them were done really well. The first is that the common goals and procedures were documented and signed in a partnering charter agreement. There was also a team building workshop where everyone was encouraged to communicate effectively. And also the partners were co-located so people could communicate over lunch break. Now, there were, however, some best practices that were not implemented. And without these, the project is starting to experience some severe problems. At current, there's a rise in dysfunctional conflict. People are arguing, blaming each other. And delayed decision making is holding up project progress. So the project is now 2 months behind schedule. Now, there are two main reasons why this attempt at partnering is failing, in my opinion. The first is the lack of evaluation processes. So there's currently no process to identify problems or opportunities or to assess the current state of the partnering. So the task forces initially were brought together to identify potential problems that could arise. However, it doesn't seem like there is a process now to identify problems as they do arise throughout the project. And the next is failure to address problems. So when a problem is arising, there is no conflict management process in place. Karen's telling partners to work out issues between themselves without a follow-up, and problems are not being escalated to a higher level of management if required. In order to get the project back on track, I would recommend that they start implementing some conflict management processes immediately. So in order to do that, Karen can use the stakeholder meeting to define all of the problems that the project is currently facing, whether it's interpersonal or project related, and then confirm the list of these problems with all parties to the project and partnering agreement. Once you've done that, then agree on a timeline for resolution for each of the issues and agree on this with all parties. Then introduce a new issue resolution process and talk this through with all parties so that everyone knows what the process is and how they're going to do it. I would recommend using principled negotiation in order to do this. This will encourage some collaborative brainstorming in order to create win-win scenarios for everyone. So the contractors are getting involved and winning as well. In order to do this successfully, you need to get commitment from the outsourced parties, either in the form of an agreement or getting them down and verbally committing to it. And then finally, in order to keep this project on track, use continuous monitoring. So Karen constantly looking at the deadlines, seeing if they're being met, and if they're not, why, and what changes need to be made. Once the project is back on track and we have those new deadlines that everyone's working towards, there are a few things that Karen can do to keep the project on track. The first would be to hold frequent review and status updates. So regular meetings with key personnel from all involved organisations to assess both project and partnering performance, with particular focus on the interdependent activities and resolutions. This could include distributing a survey to all project team members to identify any issues and then comparing the results of the survey to previous periods. The next is documenting progress, writing down all the issues, all the wins, the conflicts, the problems, and the resolutions that are occurring throughout the project. And this will create a basis for continuous improvement as well, and something to look back on for future projects. Holding additional team building sessions so that if the collaboration is lacking, we need to identify this and then recharge all of that communication and motivation through some more team building. And finally, celebrating milestones with all parties so that everyone feels like they're achieving. There's a sense of camaraderie and also positive forward motivation. So by doing all of these things, Karen can encourage conflict to be dealt with effectively, leading to innovation, better decisions, and more creative problem solving.